Hello, welcome to my first homemade class. I'm Chef Diana, and I'm so excited to be here today. It's my first homemade class, and I am a retired culinary arts teacher of 30 years, and I shouldn't say I am a retired. I was retired until homemade found me, and I found homemade. It's just been a really wonderful experience getting to work with them up to this point, and here I am 10 seconds into my first class, and I hope I get to come back. So I will try and behave and not say anything inappropriate, offend anybody, slice off a limb, do anything that would make them not let me come back, because I'm just so impressed with the incredible partners that they have, the quality ingredients, their loyal fan base, and super, super excited to be here with you today. Today's recipe is a mango salmon sushi roll with some other delicious ingredients incorporated into it. And the recipe for the mango rolls is absolutely delicious with this gorgeous blue house salmon that we'll be working with today, which can be prepared in numerous ways. One of them being sushi-grade, which we'll be eating it and cooking with it raw today, but it's also delicious in a number of other ways, cooked from just seared medium rare to full cooked. Chef Jenny did a class a few weeks ago, putting it inside a salmon ravioli. So it's just really versatile and an absolutely amazing, versatile, sustainable product. And so the sushi rolls and the saketini, which is kind of a fun, festive thing that we have today, will be a really nice accompaniment. And so when the recipe was sent to me for my first class for sushi, salmon rolls, and saketinis, I was all in. Hook, line, and sinker. Is the chat filling up with like laughing emojis right now?
Everybody's saying welcome.
Oh, thank you.
To have you.
Thank you. Such a great audience and participants we have here today. Some of you I see are cooking along. That's awesome. I hope you'll turn your screens on if you are so that I can see what you're doing. And something that culinary teachers are really proud of is when you teach somebody something and they actually end up doing it better than you. I think that's a really good sign of a good teacher and a great student. And so we're always proud as teachers that when a student will do something and it's more beautiful or more flavorful than what we've actually prepared and presented, it's actually a really nice compliment. So please share, please ask questions. And I do want to tell you just a brief bit about me and my background and why somebody thinks that I'm qualified to be here teaching you today. And but I do want to honor those who are cooking along today, so I do want to get our rice started. Sushi rolls cannot be made with leftover rice, unfortunately. There are a couple of tricks that you can do to make the rice more sticky, again, if you've made rice a day before, but I really highly, highly, highly recommend that you make the rice an hour or 2 hours before you're going to roll the sushi. So we're going to start the rice. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups of a short grain, starchy rice. Rinsing it or not, the recipe does call to rinse it. It's not absolutely necessary that you rinse the rice. We're looking for a sticky rice. We want some of that starch on the rice, so it's not necessary to rinse the rice. You can if you want, but not necessary. Okay, so I just put the 1.5 cups in there. Stovetop rice is so easy. 2 cups of water. To salt or not to salt is a question you need to ask. What are you making? We will be using some salty ingredients like soy sauce, so I'm going to just put a pinch of salt. I like to cook with salt. I can't think of anything I don't put salt in, other than maybe some beverages and things like that. But I love salt, and salt enhances the flavor in things. It brings out the flavor in things rather than just making things taste salty. But because we do have some pickled ingredients and also the soy sauce today, I'm just going to put just a pinch, just to enhance the flavor of the rice. So water, rice, turn your burner on high. Now, I've watched a couple of fabulous homemade classes, and the instruction is excellent, which is somewhat intimidating. Chef Jenny and Chef Joel do such a great job, but they do struggle with the stove too, don't they? This new fabulous fancy stove, they do. I've seen it. But I think we have it going now. On high, you're just going to incorporate the rice, the water, and that pinch of salt, and I'm going to keep an eye on it and bring it to a boil. Okay? As soon as I see it come to a boil, I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to put the stove down to low and set a timer for 15 minutes. I'm not going to think about the rice. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to look at it. I'm just going to leave it there on a very, very low simmer with the lid on for 15 minutes, set a timer, off to the side for 5 minutes, and then it's ready to go for the sushi. Okay, we'll put our dressing on it at that point. So while this is coming to a boil here, I've got it on the highest setting. I'll just talk you through just briefly my background. When I graduated from high school a million years ago, I chose what often was chosen at the time. It's like, you have to go to a 4-year university. That's what you do. So I tried that route. I didn't make it very far until I realized that I was terribly unhappy. And so I went to chef school, and I went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. At the time, they did not have the Greystone campus, which Chef Joel and Chef Jenny both have attended classes there. They just had the Hyde Park, New York campus. And so I went there and graduated with a certificate. When you come out of culinary school, chef school, you are not a chef right away. You really have to work hard and pay your dues. So worked in numerous restaurants. I met my husband at the Culinary Institute of America, and last thing I was looking for was a husband, but best thing that ever happened to me, still here with me today. And we lived in Miami, we lived in the Midwest, and then we ended up moving back to my hometown of Seattle. So we've been here for a number of years now. We owned a restaurant on Capitol Hill in Seattle for 5 years in the late 80s and early 90s, and we sold our restaurant when our first daughter was born in 1992. And so following our restaurant, we loved the restaurant business. We supported ourselves. You know, it's a hard business, but we loved it so much that we really enjoyed our time with it. But when we started a family, it became a little more difficult. And so we both went into culinary education. And I was really fortunate to teach at the Seattle Culinary Academy for 15 years. And then I followed that with a 15-year culinary education degree, instructing a program at a North End high school in Seattle. I took over a high school program where we ran a business. We opened our doors to dinners. We had chef dinners, and we did a lot of catering. So the high school students were able to have a real business experience and learn some really great cooking skills. Whether they went into the business or not wasn't of concern to me. The fact that I was teaching young people how to cook, which is a real passion of mine. I think it's really, really important that people, no matter what age you are, that people know how to prepare meals for themselves. It's critical. You can spend a lot of money and buy anything you want and eat every day, but it's not always so healthy, and it's expensive. So I think it's important that people know how to cook for themselves. So I'm preaching to the choir here. You're all here because you love to cook. So simmer on the rice. I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to turn it down to a low setting, and I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes. Kat, can you set a timer for me? 15 minutes,
Absolutely.
please? Thank you so much. And then I retired a year and a half ago. I taught culinary arts for 3 years during COVID. That was really interesting. That was real different for somebody like me. So it was a good experience. It was hard. It was really hard. And when I went back to the classroom and the restaurant and the kitchen for a year and a half after COVID, and then I decided to retire and see what was out there. And so all kinds of exciting opportunities are finding me, including this one here today. So really, really happy again to be here. I think we'll move into the sushi roll ingredients. I really want to emphasize, as I'm showing you the ingredients that we'll be using today, that if you can't find a mango, if you don't care for mango, if you have food allergies, we as culinary teachers, we're just a guide. We're just offering you things. These are options that we are offering you. You are in charge of your finished dish, and we want you to make it to your taste and your likings. So don't get so hung up on, I have to have everything exactly as the recipe says. And I think, especially I see those of you who are cooking along, this is so great that, don't be afraid to experiment and make substitutions. So today I'm going to do straightforward the recipe that you have. The mango, I want to talk first about the mango. When I tested this recipe at home, I went to the grocery store and I could not find a ripe mango. And I wanted to test it, of course I wanted to test it actually the next day. But still, sometimes if you find fruit in the grocery store, we have mangoes, we have avocados that are not grown where we are. You're from all over the place. You might grow them where you're located, but we don't, so they're imported. So they have to come here firm. They can't travel ripe or they're going to end up all bruised and just all messed up, right? So when I went to the grocery store, they were still quite firm. This mango here would probably need to sit on my counter at home next to, if you put it next to bananas or next to citrus or something, it will ripen a little bit faster. And if you put it in a brown paper bag with other fruits like a banana, it will ripen even faster. But still, this isn't going to be ready for 2 or 3 days, okay? So if we have time, I'll show you how to prep this anyway, because it's interesting, there's different ways to skin a mango, okay? So we can go into that later. But I love this trick. I make smoothies at home, and I'll put different ingredients in the smoothies depending on what I have. So I'll buy bananas, and I don't eat them all, and they start turning brown. Chop them up, I wash them, cut them, chop them up, put them in the freezer. My wholesale store carries big bags of frozen mango chunks that are perfect and ripe. And I cut these mango chunks when they were frozen because they cut really easy. I can cut nice little strips when they're frozen, slightly frozen. So I cut them up ahead of time, and they're beautiful, and they're the perfect ripeness. So that's what I'm going to use today in our rolls. And then again, I'll show you the mango later if we have time. Avocado is perfect. Whoever did the shopping here at Homemade, they're quality operation, aren't they? Oh my gosh, them and their partners, they're awesome. I'm so impressed. Can I come back? It's early. Wait, I gotta quit doing that. It's too early. Okay, perfect avocado. Wash your avocados first. Why? People say, why would I wash the avocado? I'm not gonna eat the skin. Well, this has been handled by a lot of people. And if you stood and watched the avocado section at your grocery store and you saw how many people came by and squeezed them, over and over and over again. Some things people pick up and they smell them. They put them on their nose and they smell them. I've always taught people, please just wash them. I mean, even if it's just a quick rinse in warm water, it'll take a lot of the bad stuff away that we don't want. So when you cut through the skin, if there's contamination on the outside, you're going to contaminate the inside. Okay, so I wash everything, even if I'm going to peel it. Cantaloupes, lemons, I wash it all. I'm a little bit of a weirdo that way too. I'm kind of a sanitation freak. Has anybody ever had food poisoning? Anybody out there ever had food poisoning? Really? Just me? Oh, I see a couple hands going up. You kind of just want to leave the earth, don't you? It can be really unpleasant. So I try and just take precautions and be as safe as possible, right? I'll also go into a restaurant, like a little funky restaurant somewhere, and maybe even in another country, and just kind of don't look around. Just don't look, just go and sit down and eat, and it's absolutely delicious. And just don't worry about it. If it happens, it happens. But there's also, food is a real pleasure, and sometimes those little places that maybe aren't so clean or street food can be the most delicious, right? So we can take precautions, take precautions. So our ingredients, let's go ahead and prepare our ingredients first. We have these beautiful English cucumbers. These come in that annoying plastic that takes a little while to get off. So we've taken them out of the plastic and then washed it.
We can also get a little close up with the camera, so you can feel free to show it to the camera.
Okay. Yeah. So English cucumbers, I leave the skin on. If you're going to get the waxy cucumbers that have a thicker skin and they're kind of shiny, I would peel them. Okay. So the English cucumbers, I would take and put them on the cutting board. I cut them into sections, about 3-inch sections, as the recipe states. And then I'm just going to cut around this way. So stable surface, right? And I'm going to cut down around the interior. And then this, I'm also really frugal. I don't waste anything. But this is the seed portion, and it's like 99% water. If I was making a soup or a stew or something, I might keep this. Or if I'm eating a salad for dinner, I might cut it up and throw it in the salad. But we're just going to put that off to the side for now. And then we want the inside of the sushi rolls to look really beautiful. So we're going to work on our knife skills. And I've seen some homemade classes, and I saw one where Chef Joel was working and showing you all how to hold a knife. And I love that because it's the same advice that I usually give to people. It's like, you don't want to hold a knife back here where you don't have control over it. You want to really seize up on the knife and almost come up here with your knuckle over, actually touching the blade up here. And you're more stable and safe that way. It feels awkward if you're not used to that, but just practice it. So a couple of strips of the cucumber. We have the mango all ready to go. I had to cut that when it was frozen, so I did that ahead of time. And then red pepper. I also keep something in my freezer with scraps for vegetable stocks or broths or things that I'm making, or salads or whatever in the fridge. There's scraps that you can use. I usually cut off the top and the bottom of the red pepper. And again, this can all be used. Delicious for salads, soups, or whatever. And then cut around the seed package here. And then this is all your compost here, not usable. So it kind of makes these nice little usable pieces here. Sometimes if I'm really trying to impress somebody, I'll take a little bit of this interior flesh out. And again, delicious in another preparation, just to make this show off the little more vibrancy, the color there. And then cut our strips along there. Beautiful color in this sushi roll. It's gorgeous, delicious, healthy. The salmon, the Blue House salmon today is a super healthy product. Really super low in mercury, way lower than FDA, 100 times lower than the FDA levels recommended limits of mercury. And fat, we love fat, don't we? Who likes fat? Raise your hand. I love fat.
I do.
I love fat. Kat loves fat. We love fat. We all went. Come on, we love fat. But this is a good fat. Salmon has a really good, healthy fat in it. So not only is the Blue House raised sustainably, it's farmed sustainably, beautiful, pure waters, no plastics, absolutely no antibiotics ever. It's just a gorgeous fish. Again, ask for it at your grocery store if you do not have it in your area, but visit the website first. So again, it can be eaten raw or cooked all the way, and it's super healthy. So my favorite way to cut an avocado is to, of course, wash it and take that little annoying sticker off, and then carefully take a knife and cut around that pit. Okay, vegetable or fruit? Avocado, vegetable or fruit?
We'll let people answer
Okay.
here.
And then there's a pit inside. There's a hint. Pit inside, and then twist it. Open. And then careful here. It's slippery. Okay? So I usually take my knife, open my hand up, not curved fingers where I could cut my fingers off. Tap, 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 and twist. Okay? And then
folks come in and saying it's fruit.
It's a fruit. You are right. You get something. I don't know what you get. You win something. And again, perfect ripeness on this. So flavorful, I can tell from, I wish you could feel it. It's got a little give, but it's gonna make some nice, beautiful sticks that will look really nice inside
And
of our
with a
sushi rolls.
ripe avocado, the seed should come out easily.
Ah, good point.
Yeah, if the seed doesn't come out easily, don't risk it because that's how you get avocado hand.
Absolutely. Good thing, Chef Kat, thank you. Okay, so we have our avocado. And then the salmon. So I cut up these, look at that beautiful fillet here. I cut up some sticks ahead of time, some nice portions that'll fit inside of our sushi roll. And I made the cuts on the salmon just a little bit bigger than the recipe asks for. So again, feel free, this is your recipe. You make it how you want it. But I feel with this beautiful salmon that it's kind of the star of the show. So I don't want to lose it in the sushi roll. So I want it to kind of to stand out. And it's also, this salmon is not fishy. Is it high in fat? Yes. Is it high in good fats? Absolutely. Really good fats, healthy fats. But it's not fishy. It has the most beautiful flavor, so we want to show it off. So I made the salmon portions just a little bit bigger. Am I moving along too fast? How are we doing? I see some people cooking along. Can't wait to see your rolls at the
I
end.
think everybody's doing good.
Yay.
We're all hanging out,
Okay.
enjoying the
Okay.
sushi making.
So how much time do we have left on the rice?
We've got about 4 minutes.
4 minutes, okay. And it has to sit for 5 minutes after that. So fortunately, we made some ahead of time, so I have some ready to go. But I will show you the step on the rice and how to dress it when it's
Can we
finished.
get a little bit of a close-up on their salmon portions?
Yes. And I'll be pulling them out here in just a moment. So I cut these portions like this. Now, as I roll the sushi, you'll see you don't want to overstuff it. That can really be problematic. And I know you've seen those of you who are regulars here, you've seen some cooking shows or some classes here where you don't overstuff the ravioli, you don't overstuff the dumplings.
It's as tempting as it is.
It is so
As
tempting,
tempting
especially
as
when
it
you're
is.
hungry. Especially when you're hungry. It's like, put in more, and look, I've got all these ingredients, but you want it to come out the right proportion and to be the right amount of filling, right? To make you feel good, to be for the flavors to do well together. So I think we have everything ready to go.
And we had another quick
yep.
question. Do you have any like tips for cutting up mango like this, or could you show how to cut it a little bit?
I can show that. I think we have plenty of time, so I will. So I washed this ahead of time, and I have not cut any. You want to not cross-contaminate with proteins, with animal proteins and vegetables and fruits on your board. So the salmon was cut ahead of time, so we have a clean board to work on. So there are numerous ways. Just YouTube it. You'll find numerous ways to cut a mango and to skin it. It's not the easiest thing to do, and I'm really not very good at it. But I have found the easiest way for me, and again, I'm a smoothie person, so I have lots of scraps left over, and I put them in my freezer and put them in my smoothies later, or on top of granola or something. So for this recipe, we're trying to make some nice, beautiful slices. So there's a pit inside, just like the avocado. It's shaped a little bit differently. So what I try and do is take a nice thin-bladed knife that has a little bit of flexibility, and I come down and I cut where I know that pit. I try and come down around the pit. Okay, and this is not the way everybody does it, just so you know. And I keep going, and I see I can go a little deeper. I was being a little cautious there, right? A little deeper, come down around the pit. So I'm actually, with my knife, I'm actually curving my knife down around it, because the pit's curved like this, okay? And I would continue and go all the way around the mango, and then cut it into little more manageable strips here, because I have to remove the skin. It's really important to have a thin-bladed knife with some flexibility for this. And then I take my knife, flat on the board. It's completely flat. My knife is not up at an angle at all. It's completely flat on the board, but it's against the skin, okay? And then make sure this hand is somewhere out of the way. And then just cut across with my knife flat. I can always come back up and pick up anything that I've missed. You don't want to waste very much, and the stuff attached to the skin, I don't know of any use for that. So very carefully come across this way. Very carefully, okay? Turn it over, and I just missed a little bit over here. And then you go ahead and make your strips from there. Thank you for asking. Good questions. But look at the difference between a ripe mango and one that's not ripe. And it's not only going to be color, it's going to be flavor as well. So if you do want to use the fresh mango, better to plan ahead.
I have to say, these colors are just so pretty.
I'm telling you. And typically, I don't know, when I put a plate of food together, which is something, I'm not an artist, I don't write very well, I don't draw at all, I'm not very good at any of that, but I can put a pretty nice looking plate of food together. That's one of the things that I can do. And I typically don't put oranges and yellows together. So when I made these salmon rolls and I took them to a party, an appetizer party that we went to, and everybody oohed and awed just before even eating them, the colors were beautiful, and it worked. The orange and the yellow and everything, it really worked together with the red.
It's also our timer on our rice.
Nice timing. Okay, so timer went off on the rice, okay? Don't take the lid off. How many times can I say that? Don't take the lid off. Don't think about taking the lid off. Just don't, okay? Move it off to a cool burner. Turn the stove off. Okay, and let it sit for 5 minutes. Can you give me another 5? Thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Chef Kat. You're awesome. Okay, and then I'll be able to show you that in just a minute. Let me show you the rice we have ready to go. First of all, sushi mats come in different sizes. So this is more the typical size, and I didn't measure it. I'm sorry, I should have done that before class to actually take a measurement. But this is the one I typically find in the grocery store, and it's this size, okay? This one is quite a bit bigger, and either one will work. It's completely fine. It's just this one's gonna be a little more manageable, a little easier to handle. It's gonna make a standard size roll. If you were gonna use this one, you could make one of the bigger rolls that sometimes you'll find in restaurants. So you can do any size roll with either one of these, basically. I mean, you can't make a huge roll with this one, obviously. This is gonna make a standard size. But just so you know, they do come in a couple different sizes. I have a trick that I'm gonna show you if we have time, and I think we will have time, after I make a roll as the recipe reads, because it's a great recipe. Again, I've done it. It works fabulous. So I'm gonna start with that. But I wanna, if we have time, I wanna show you a couple of little tricks. and I think we will have time for that. So I'm going to put the seaweed, nori seaweed, onto the sushi mat. I'm going to make sure that the bamboo slats are running horizontal, okay? That's important because you're not going to be able to roll your sushi this way, okay? So you have to make sure it's this way. And then with this roll, I'm going to have the shiny side, the shiny side on the outside and the dull side on the inside. Is it critical? Does it really, really matter? No. But if you think about it, you have an obvious shiny and dull. I'm going to put the shiny on the outside, so that shows on the outside of my roll. And then I have a bowl here of water, and this is called a tezu, T-E-Z-U. And it's basically so that this sticky rice does not stick to my hands, or I can, as I make my sushi roll, okay? Because we have a really, really sticky rice, which is really important when you make sushi. So it's important that it's fresh, that it was made that day, so it's still sticky. It can actually even be a little bit warm as you're handling it. Traditional sushi is made that way, a tiny bit warm. So it's going to be very, very sticky. So if I dip my hands into the cool water, my very clean hands, because I'm using my hands for all these ingredients, into the water, and then press the rice onto the sushi mat, it makes a nice, it's much cleaner, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put about a cup of the rice onto the mat. You can measure it or just eyeball it. And then using my tezu, I'm just going to dampen my hands a little bit. And then I'm going to start pressing this down. My goal is to have a thin layer almost covering the entire nori sheet with just a tiny little open rim around the outside, okay? So it takes a little time. This is really fun to do as a party with friends, with small children, with everybody loves to do this, to make it. It's once you have all your ingredients, it's really not that hard. You don't need that much. So it has fun, and you can usually find ingredients that everybody will enjoy.
Could you briefly touch on the rice seasoning?
Yes, I'm going to show you that as soon as we have that 5-minute timer done. But
sounds good.
Rice is, sushi literally means sour taste. Oh, yum. We have a sour taste here. Sour's not always bad. So sushi was originally meant as a trekking. When it was first created, it was packed for long distances, for hiking and travel, because it's the dressing has sugar and vinegar in it. It's rice. It was typically protein. And I'm going to put a little bit more rice on there. And so it would travel well. It's very filling, healthy, and people traveled with it. So sushi literally means sour tasting. And then later on, I found a definition that said vinegared rice. So again, sour on the rice. So we add seasoned rice vinegar, which is what the recipe calls for, but if you just have rice vinegar, that's completely fine. So what is seasoned rice vinegar? It has a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar in it, and that's all it is. So you can use straight rice vinegar, or you can add just a pinch of sugar and a pinch of salt, and you have seasoned rice vinegar, okay? It adds a little more flavor. I like it. I like the salt and sweet in the rice, so it is fun and flavorful for me to add it, but don't get hung up on that.
And that's the timer on our rice.
Okay, thank you.
We did have a really good question in the chat that was asking if you could roll it without a mat. And there are actually sushi molds that you can press and put your rice into, put your filling into. When you press it, it basically just makes a roll of rice.
Where is it?
You can wrap your nori around it.
Which drawer is it in? No, I'm just kidding.
I wish we had it here, right?
Yes, I have seen those things. You know what? Honestly,
at the Asian Marts.
I've never used one.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think the mat is a lot more fun.
It's more fun, but I do think you can absolutely without a mat. And I think we'll have time. I'm going to try and show you an inside-out roll, and I think I can maybe show that briefly how to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think you can. I've never done it without a mat, but you could. Okay, sticky rice. Perfect. I got the stove down. Oh, not so perfect. It's a little wetter. but that's okay. I'd rather have it be a little more wet because it does dry out. It keeps absorbing the liquid. So it is supposed to be sticky and hot. And then I have the rice vinegar, and we didn't have seasoned vinegar here today, so I just have the rice vinegar, totally fine. Recipe says 1/4 cup. Oh, actually, I'm going to go ahead and put the sugar and the salt in there ahead of time so it dissolves a little bit. It takes a little while to dissolve, but the acid in the vinegar will speed this up a little bit. So it's 2 tablespoons and a teaspoon. And then, ideally, you can let that sit 2 or 3 minutes and it'll dissolve. Or the rice is still warm, so it's going to work in there too. And this is the dressing. So we're vinegaring, seasoning the rice. And it's too hot right now to make sushi, so that's why I made some ahead of time. But you just want to make sure it's really nicely incorporated. Recipe says a cookie sheet to spread it out, which will definitely more surface area. It'll cool quicker. But by just using a large bowl and pushing it up against the sides, making it a thinner layer all the way around. I like this. I feel like the bowl's a little easier to clean. I clean as I go, like kind of like an insane person. I clean as I go. Because of our time here today, I'm not doing as much as I would do at home, but, and then just let that sit for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, depending on how warm your room is, and then you're ready to roll, just where we're at. So and you can do this up to 2 hours ahead of time. So that's all there is to the rice. Okay, we have a shot of this, great. So I'm gonna start putting my ingredients in there. If you're a wasabi fan, you can certainly put a little wasabi. Wasabi is a Japanese green horseradish. And labels of wasabi vary in heat, so I would always encourage you to taste like on a toothpick, literally like on a toothpick, a little bit of the wasabi before you add it to your sushi, because they really vary in the amount of heat they have. If you're not, I like spice, but you still want to be cautious of that. So you could put a little wasabi in there if you'd like. We're going to keep ours today on the side and just serve it traditional on the side. And so you just want to start placing your ingredients in there about 1/3 of the way up, close to the halfway mark, but a little bit more towards you. And then I'd like to think about mixing up colors and how they're going to look after I roll this. So maybe we'll bump up next to the green, beautiful red pepper, and add some of that gorgeous mango on top of that. So again, when I tested these, I'm always kind of skeptical, actually, of full disclosure here. I look at recipes sometimes, and there's so many bad recipes on the internet. Oh my God, there's so many bad recipes on the internet. You have to know what you're looking for, but there's so many good ones, right? So you really need to know what you're looking for. That mango's really slippery. It's beautiful and ripe, but it's slippery. So you really have to know what you're looking for. I was kind of skeptical, but I thought every time I make a recipe, especially if I'm doing something like this, like for a class, I want to make it exactly as the recipe is for the first time. And so I did. And I was, okay, what's going to be wrong? What am I going to have to change? What I'm going to have to say is, don't do it this way or whatever. Honestly, it was so good. It was so good. And just as it is. So the recipe, as you have it, works great. But again, feel free to vary for your taste. Don't ever be afraid to do that. Especially we got a lot of homemakers here who are here all the time and have fabulous cooking skills due to this fabulous instruction you've had here. Okay, so is everything in there?
And the avocado.
Avocado, that beautiful avocado. That was so perfect. It would be a shame. I might not get invited back if I skip that.
Oh, it's just a little avocado.
I guess maybe I just wanted to eat it later.
I mean, I don't blame you. It looked really good.
Okay, that's pretty full. What, did I overdo it, Kat?
I guess we'll see.
Well, time will tell. I think I can do it. I can do it. Okay, let me get these things out of the way. Clean. I like a neat like things neat and tidy. I think your products come out better. Have you ever seen anybody or cooked with anybody? There's just stuff everywhere. It makes me crazy.
Know.
Oh, I better look and make sure there's, okay, I think I'm safe. They all look good. Okay, so we're gonna start back here. This is the trick. This is a little bit tricky. If you get frustrated the first time, you've got these beautiful, lovely ingredients that all taste really good. You can't go wrong because you make a rice bowl and it's delicious, right? That's what you have here. So if it doesn't work out the first time, it's really not that tricky. But if it doesn't work out the first time, you've got a delicious meal. And just keep practicing. It's super fun, okay? So my goal is to have the two edges of the nori meat. So this one's going to roll this way and have the two edges of the nori meat. You can put a little bit of, especially because I've been talking a lot, and this nori's drying out a little bit, okay? So I'm going to just seal the edge here with a little bit of water. I'm going to put a little bit of water, just using my clean finger, so that when I roll it, it'll help stick it together, okay, and stay together. And then I'm going to try and leave all these ingredients in, and I'm going to roll away from me, and I'm going to hold all the ingredients in, and I'm going to roll all the way around. And right now, I know it's hard, you can't see it, I can't see it, but the two edges of the nori have met, but it's teardrop shaped, okay? I'm aiming for round. It's pretty full. Seal it, and then continue with the mat, rolling. And I'm going to have time to show you another way. Oop, there comes the avocado.
Things will
Scooch
fall
it back
out of
in
the
there,
sides,
yeah.
so don't be afraid to just push your ingredients back in.
It's like a burrito or something. Okay, and roll. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll back and see how I'm doing here. And then I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. I think if I'd put one more something in there, it was going to be too big, but I think it's going to work. I did talk a long time too, so. Okay, and I'm going to try and make it a little bit tighter. Okay, I'm going to have to make an inside-out roll to show you. Okay, now if you don't want to eat this right away, it can be wrapped in plastic wrap, and I would suggest if you can make these a few hours ahead of time and wrap them in plastic wrap, and you can put them in the refrigerator now. The rice is totally fine. It's all stuck together. So you're going to wrap it up, and then I'll make another one and show you how to cut it.
And when you roll it up, I recommend putting it seam side down, so
Seam
your
side down.
nori seals on itself. The rice will help with that as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do this and put it in the fridge, and it will sort of set up, and everything will kind of come together. And roll the ends in here first. Okay, and then, okay, that one's, maybe I got a little too excited about that, which I am excited about the Blue House
See,
salmon.
it's
I got a little
just-
too excited about those big salmon pieces.
It's so easy to overstuff your
Yeah.
your food.
Okay, so that's going to go in the fridge, and then we'll cut that in a little bit. But I want to show you the inside-out roll. So again, cleanup is not my favorite thing to do. So this method, I like it for a couple reasons. Okay, it makes cleanup easier, which is one. I have a piece of plastic wrap that is the size of the bamboo mat, and I'm going to make an inside-out roll. So what I like about this is that the rice is on the outside when you cut it, rather than and the seaweed's on the inside. So it's the opposite. So it's an inside-out roll. So I start with the rice, and so it's a little more challenging sometimes when you don't have the nori, but I'm aiming for that same shape, okay? So same thing, just on plastic wrap. Now, if you were pushing this right into the bamboo mat, it will work, but cleaning that mat is not going to be fun because these rice grains are they're sticky, they're starchy, they're sugary. They're going to go down inside those bamboo slats, and then the mat is going to be not fun to clean. You're going to have to take a brush and keep brushing it out. What is bacteria like? Moist, sugar, dark, everything that bamboo mat has. So plastic wrap makes cleanup so much easier, and I also have my wrapping already on my roll, which is one of the things I really like about it. So you would use the same ingredients that's in your recipe. Any questions, Chef Kat?
Yeah, we had a question from someone asking about any tips with your knife when it comes to cutting the sushi roll.
Yes, I do. And as we were setting up, it's one of my favorite things. As we were setting up, we grabbed that at the last minute. It's important to have a sharp knife. It's important that you have every cut, your knife has to be moistened and wiped clean. It sounds like a lot of work, but it's not. It goes really fast if you're set up properly, okay? So we're just gonna go with this. If you wanted to, if you're enjoying this, sometimes I'm not the most patient person. Those of you who know me can attest to that, but I don't really like tedious tasks so much. Some people would really get into this, you know. If a recipe says knead the bread for 20 minutes, I'm not going there. Sorry. I'm not kneading anything for 20 minutes. That's what machines are for. But this is fun for a lot of people. So if you're a perfectionist and you want to make it just perfect, you're aiming for a really nice rectangle. You can take the back of your knife, or carefully so you don't cut the plastic wrap, and make the edges a little more precise. I gotta make sure we have time for that drink we're making, right? That fun festive drink today. Okay? And then you're gonna use just a half a sheet of nori for this one. So this has been sitting out with steaming rice and all of that. So sometimes it's crispy, and you can just do it like paper and then tear it. This has gotten a little moist over time. A trick to that is if you have a flame, a gas burner or a hot burner, you can wave it over the burner and it'll kind of crisp it up again. And it usually tears. And if it doesn't tear perfectly, it doesn't matter. It's going on the inside, right? And then we'll put the nori on there. And then our ingredients will go in there. And I'll make this one, this one's gonna be a little smaller anyway because of the method. So I'll make this just a little bit smaller.
I do really recommend using your hands though when it comes to making sushi, because it's just easier, you get more control, and plus like the rice won't stick to your hands as much, especially if you're using water.
Right.
And easier cleanup. Cleaning dry rice off of utensils is honestly the worst. Agreed.
And if you enjoy sushi, go to a sushi restaurant and sit at the sushi counter and watch. It's fun. It's fun. And they use their hands. Some states, they require you to use, for them to wear gloves. I know that's got to be a real challenge in a restaurant. So clean hands. Your hands are your best tools. Make sure they're clean. You don't have, if nothing's, especially if you're cooking for other people and there's no nail polish or lots of jewelry or whatever, just wash your hands. They're your best tools. They really are. And you get a feel for things when you use your hands.
Absolutely.
It's really important. Okay, so the inside out roll, okay, but we're gonna use the plastic wrap, which I really love. I think it really helps in a lot of ways. So same idea. And I'm gonna have the two edges of my nori meat. This should be, it's like an envelope. So I have a little bit excess rice here, it's gonna be fine. But you could do like an envelope, like just a little 1/2 inch rice at the top, and then your nori is sort of like the base of the envelope. And same thing, you're gonna roll, pick the mat and the plastic wrap and everything up. We're gonna create that little teardrop, right? And then I'm gonna roll back, and then I'm gonna continue to make it round. And the plastic wrap helps keep everything in, which is kind of what I like with this inside out roll as well. I also taught young people for a long time, and I taught young people before seaweed snacks, roasted seaweed snacks were a thing. And sometimes young people were like, seaweed? I'm not eating seaweed. And so I could get them to try this if I did the inside out roll, because it's like, oh, I love rice, but I don't really like seaweed. And if it's minimal amount of seaweed, they really seem to like that. And then they'd embrace it, and then they'd be eating the seaweed.
We had a really great question about salmon. Can you talk about how you would choose your salmon for this?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So I just want to show you what I'm doing here first. The other roll, we had some things falling out. This one, what I'm doing, I have the plastic wrap there and the mat. The plastic wrap is covering the base, and I'm having the sushi roll go down in the mat, and I'm tapping it to sort of compact everything in. It'll make it a lot easier to cut, okay? So there's that. So salmon, I love salmon. And there's a lot of varieties. We are here in the Pacific Northwest. We are spoiled. We have a lot of salmon available to us. It depends on what you're going to do with it. So this is a sushi-grade salmon. If you're going to eat salmon raw, it has to be sushi-grade. There's some sanitation and some quality things to talk about more about that. But there's so many varieties of salmon. It depends on what I'm going to do with it. Salmon is a fatty fish, as I mentioned, a good fat. But so it's not a great fish for battering and frying because you've got fat and fat. So it's nice to have sort of contrasting, complementary textures and flavors, and that goes with fat and lean as well. So we're using today this delicious Blue House, good fat, high quality salmon in a sushi roll, but we have all these beautiful fresh and crunchy ingredients with it. So we've got that nice healthy fat with these beautiful fresh crunchy ingredients. So it's complementary, contrasting, okay? Frying salmon in a batter and deep frying it is not that great because you've got fat and fat and fat and fat. That's why they use, usually for fish and chips, so use a lean fish like a halibut or a cod. So think about what you're going to be doing with it. It should smell fresh and not fishy. You should, wherever you live, anywhere in our country now, we're so privileged to have reputable fish providers, seafood providers. So just make sure you have a reputable one, whether it's at your grocery store or an actual seafood market. So great question. I hope that answered it. Please follow up if that didn't answer it fully. So let's go ahead and let me show you. I'm going to cut this one. The other one might need to set up for a little bit. Traditional accompaniments would be pickled ginger, wasabi, and soy sauce. And this is what I like to do, is have a pitcher or a tall, skinny glass like this. Make sure you take the plastic wrap off before you cut it. It's easier to remove now. And then a clean towel and your pitcher or glass of water. We might sacrifice the ends here. So again, I'm going to dip my knife. I'm going to wipe it clean. I'm actually going to dip it one more time, shake off the excess water. And we're going to go ahead, let's make 6 out of this one. So I'm going to cut it in half first so I can make them as uniform as possible. And I'm going to use this sawing motion rather than just smashing it, okay? Because then it's going to lose its structure. So let's wipe it, water, shake off the excess, and then I'm going to sacrifice these 2 end pieces here, and we're going to snack on those later. And then I want to cut each one of these in thirds, right? I don't know how many of you go out for sushi, but I know sometimes it's like, I want it to be one bite and not a big, huge piece that's difficult. If it's a 2-bite piece, sometimes it falls apart after the first bite, for me anyway. So I like them to be a little bit smaller. That's another thing about this inside out roll, is it's just a little bit smaller and easier to eat. I can get a larger piece in my mouth, trust me, in one bite. But
more smaller pieces means more to eat.
More smaller pieces. They're more manageable.
Plus, sushi is also commonly eaten as a finger food, so you want to be able to have it in bite-sized pieces as well.
Rice is sticky.
Rice
We're gonna have fun cleaning up tonight.
Mm-hmm. Water is your best friend when it comes to handling hot rice. That looks so good. I have to say I'm very excited for after class when we're snacking.
I actually could have gone with bigger pieces in there. I think I was just shying away because I was so hungry with that first one, right? Okay, so sushi rolls, and yeah, any questions? I'm gonna make those saketinis.
We are doing pretty good. We did have a little question about how to prepare salmon so it's not dry, if you do want to cook your salmon.
Thank you. I'm so glad you asked that. So, how much time do we have? Oh my goodness.
I know it's tempting. We have 10 minutes, but it's
well. Don't
we can talk about cooking fish all day.
I know. Don't overcook it. That's the main thing. Don't overcook it. And here's what I taught in my 30 years of teaching. Here's what I always taught: you can always cook something more, but you can't cook it less. Well, I don't care if it's a steak, a piece of salmon, or a broccoli floret, right? If you overcook it, that's what you got. But if you undercook it, you have the option to cook it more. So I always say that with everything. Always go under. And the thing about with this high quality salmon that we're using today, if you do get a nice fatty king salmon or something like this Blue House, this beautiful high fat content salmon, it's kind of hard to overcook it. It's really forgiving as far as that goes. If you start seeing a whole bunch of the white proteins coming out, and if it's in the oven or on the stove and you see that start to happen, I would say remove it and get it out of that hot pan or off the hot pan as soon as you possibly can. When you remove something from the heat, it's going to slow down the cooking, right? If you keep it on the hot pan, it's going to continue to cook. So I always say, like, right before you see that white protein coming out, but it's like, what? Well, how do I judge that? It's practice. It takes time. But again, this is a very forgiving fish, very forgiving, the one that we have today. So some of the more leaner, there are leaner species of salmon. You need to be a little cautious with that. Practice, yeah, hopefully that helped.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Saketini, this is so fun. I was skeptical about this. Have I told you that? I'm a skeptic. Okay, so
healthy skepticism is always good.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but I made one of these at home because this is something I thought I would never drink. My husband and I were like fighting over it. I made one. I was like, yeah, I'll drink a martini and I'll certainly sip some sake, but Saketini, grapefruit Saketini, I don't know. We were fighting over it. So anyway, I got to get over that. I got to quit being such a skeptic. So high quality sake, and there's a couple of additions here today that you don't necessarily have to have. Some fresh mint, which is kind of fun. So we've got the sake, and then fresh squeezed grapefruit juice. I used a strainer to make sure that we didn't have any seeds. Simple syrup. What is simple syrup? Simple syrup is delicious not only in cocktails but mocktails. So a drink without alcohol. To drizzle on fresh fruit. Maybe put a little vanilla extract in, drizzle it on fresh fruit. It's just sugar and water simmered on the stove. So a little bit of simple syrup. I'm going to put about a teaspoon in here. Just sugar and water that's been boiled. And then we'll put a few fresh mint leaves in here as we're making that. And I'm going to bruise them up, break them up a little bit. And then some ice. And that's it. Whoa. I'm going to shake this somewhere over here. Shake it. Getting it nice and cold, mixing all the ingredients, little ice crystals.
You want to incorporate that citrus.
Yeah, and the mint, the bruised mint.
Mm-hmm.
And then I candied these little, I had the grapefruit, I was going to squeeze it anyway. So before I squeezed it, I took the rind off and I dried it and then put it in a little bit of the simple syrup and then brushed it with a little bit of sugar. So kind of a fun little garnish. And it's going to fall in there, but it'll be delicious. It'll rehydrate in there. And it's been dried for so long that it won't lose its...
We had a little question for you. We know you went to chef school and had a restaurant. Did you bartend?
I did. I bartended in Hawaii when I was 19 years old. That was a long time ago because that was the drinking age there then. So if you want to look up what year the drinking age changed in Hawaii, that was how long ago I was there. But that's where I learned to bartend, and then I moved back to my hometown in Seattle, and I wasn't old enough to drink. Well, it was kind of weird. But that was such a fun job. But just, it was one of my favorite jobs was actually being a bartender. It was really fun. This was so fun. There's a couple classes coming up next week. They're off here at Homemade. And then on the 13th, sweet and savory broccoli beef, so right before Valentine's Day. And then I'm scheduled to come back, so I'm going to be here the 27th.
Peek at Lena's plate here. Can you see that?
Lena, that's gorgeous. You did both of them? How the heck? That's gorgeous. Good job. Yay. Thank you so much.
And we've
This is
also
so fun.
got our friends Sam Cutler right there showing off their sushi rolls.
So what did I say in the beginning of class? Nothing makes a teacher prouder than when your students do it better than you. Awesome job. My gosh, those are beautiful. Anybody else? That was so fun. I have like goosebumps. That was so fun.
I think we're all looking forward to a little taste test, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And then, yeah, I'm coming back to do at the end of February a green minestrone soup that sounds absolutely delicious and super healthy and filling. And so I'm going to be testing that this next week. And I hope to see you again. Thank you so much. Bye.